So in here I've successfully installed my my dependencies. The one is still complaining some to Spring Boot start MQ and stuff, but you can still, because my app is running, you can still continue that. The rest you can fix them later. All right, so this is where now we start to, so we have all our project set up. If you go to our application, only our application name is there, so we'll need to configure some couple of items. Here you see our dependencies. So one of the most important dependencies is this AMQ, that is for the Rabbit, and then we'll need to set up some items here. So I'll start by setting it up. So here you can specify the port that you want your Spring Boot app to run on. So I usually just love to put a port before I go very far. So we can just have a port as you can just say our port as 80. Let's use 8081 for now, and then the application that we are having is this. And then you can still continue in here and say after the application name we have so this is within the Spring Boot object. So you can still say we are now using RabbitMQ, and then inside Rabbit we have the host. So we'll have the host, and then so you have the host. So you had application name, then RabbitMQ, then we'll say host. Of course our host is localhost. You remember the Rabbit that we opened here. So our host is localhost, and then our port was what we set in the in the project that we had here. You remember that? Let me just show you the composer setup that we had in here. So you can just grab it from here. So these are our ports. So first is for the UI, we had 156, 72. This one for the UI, and this one now is for accessing our RabbitMQ, and then these are passwords. So we'll just say this is localhost, and then after that we have the port for our Rabbit is this one, and then we'll say now add our username and password. So our username and password. So let's grab this one from here. So we just say our username first is our username is YouTube, and then our password is this. Let me just copy, and then say YouTube is our username. So if you put this one wrong, then your RabbitMQ won't be able to work. Then after that, now you can set other stuffs, like let's say you want to set the Rabbit exchange and stuff. So you can still go down here at the beginning and then say maybe is Rabbit, or maybe is QName exchange or stuff like that. So you can even say Rabbit, or maybe just put the full name and say Rabbit config. Then you say the exchange. The exchange will be we said it was orders or something, so the exchange will come and pick it here. So this is the exchange. So we'll say ffforge exchange, and then we have the routing key for this particular. So remember, this is the producer. So for the consumer, then you can set the rest of the item. So routing key in here, we say it's to FFQ. The routing key was finance, so we just say finance here. Let's put finance. So you can even have something like maybe you want to say the queue name. You want to set the queue name here. Let's say queue name, but now because this is just producer, we don't need to really set that. So you just need to write into the exchange with the routing key, and then everything is okay. So in here we can create some couple of classes in here to just do our stuff now. So I'll just come here and say maybe under this I want to create some models here to help me put some data in. So I want to say maybe I have models, and then I'll just say my order model. And then this order model, I'll just say this is data. This I'll pick it from Lombok to allow me put the constructors and stuff, and then I can also have a builder to assist me easily construct that. I'll have all arguments constructor, and then no argument constructors, so that to create so you can also add it to string and stuff, but because you have data here, if you could be using getters and setters, you could also add that to string. And then I'll say now my order, let's say for example it has private string order ID, and then so this is the ID of the order, and then I'll just say the same. I want this one again to have something like product name or something like that. And then finally, let's say I wanna have an amount for that particular item. Yeah, that's enough. So I can say order ID, then product name, and then the amount for this particular order. And then having that, now my model is ready. I'll want to now do a config to help me now configure my Rabbit in terms of maybe I want to send my messages as string or as JSON and stuff like that. So I'll just come here and create a folder for configs, and then I'll say I wanna create a RabbitMQ config file. So this will help me config, but now to make it a configuration file, I'll just have to say at configuration to just make it a configuration file. And then in here I'll just come and say I need one bin, and then this I'll keep it as topic exchange. Just say create topic exchange if the queue is in terms of topic and stuff like that. For us, I'm not sure, I don't remember if we created this as topic, but you can just say this and say the bin of topic, topic, and then you give it a name. Just say topic exchange here, and then you say it's an orders exchange, for example, exchange. Then out of that, now we'll come here and say this one should just return a new topic exchange of orders dot exchange. But now we're not doing that. So for our case, let's remember what we had in here. So for our case is FFO order exchange. Maybe the name could give it a nice name than this one. Anyway, we'll do better next time. So you have this, you have already defined now exchange, but you have said is a topic exchange. And now out of that, we are good to go to now generate our producer. So you can have it inside producers, or you can have it inside model. So let's just say producers. Maybe we'll have a number of them, and then we call it maybe order producer or kitchen producer .java. And then now this is the producer now where we need to like automatically now put our logic. So here I'll start by defining a Rabbit template to allow me right into Rabbit. So final Rabbit template, then I'll call it just Rabbit template, simple as that. And then this one will need to import. So I don't know why this one is not coming in. Yeah, import class, it should be like that. Yeah, perfectly. So you should import from AMQ, that's a Rabbit dependency. And then you can now here you can say, because of private final, you can just say add a constructor parameter. And then out of here now, this is where we'll create some of our action. Like let's say, for example, public then returns nothing. So just say a public void, then send order. So this should automatically send our order model here, and then we just call it order. So this is what will supply to the order. And then I can just say log, and then here I can just use the SLF4J for logging. Then I'll just say this is a service also, to just define my component for it to be seenable. And then here we have yeah, that is okay. And then so in here I'll just say log.info, and then say maybe sending to queue, and then I'll say this is my order that I'm sending to the queue. So I'll just log the order there, and then outside that I'll just say Rabbit template dot convert and send. So I'll send to this exchange. So exchange, I'll just have to now grab it again from my properties file. So you remember what we said is spring, we said Rabbit and then exchange, and then Rabbit and routing key. So all those two items you can really have them in here. You can just say value from Lombok, I think, not really, from Spring Bean factory annotation, so that it can help us grab these items from the queue. So our from the property file, sorry. So from our property file, rabbit.routing key is equals to now our routing key over here. So you just say this is a private, and it is a string, and then it's a string of routing. You can say routing key. So that's the first one, and then we can still do the same for our exchange. I think it was called just exchange, and then here you can say exchange, and then that's it. So be inside Rabbit, and then exchange, and also this one here. But this one needs, after this we need to add that's why it's complaining, because we need to add curly braces to just close this up. Yeah, inside here I think so, yes. And then I'll say now this is read from Rabbit template, sorry, up there. So just say here, exchange, and then you give it now your routing key. So you're writing to that exchange with the routing key of this one. So now we want to do a controller that will enable us to do these postings, or rather publish this number of queue. So I'll just come here and do a controller, another controller that I'll call let's say order controller or main controller, something like that. So I'll just say controllers, and then I'll say main controller. Then inside main controller, I'll now create my logic. So inside my main controller, I'll make this arrest controller, so that it allows me to do some postings and maybe gets in some items. So I'll just say this is arrest controller, and then I'll just say request mapping, and then I'll just give it some kind of the initial route. Maybe say this is my API version 1/orders, for example, something like that. So this one needs to be an at request mapping, yes. Then I'll just give it something like that, and then out of that I'll just come here down and say, for example, private final. Remember our order producer, so that's I'll inject that on here, and then of course I'll let it create a constructor for me, and then I'll say here I have a post mapping to post my order, and then I'll just say public string, and then publish. So I'll publish, so here I'll just say I want my request body to be of type order, and then I'll just call it order request or something like that. And then in here now I'll say, you remember my producer, so the order producer dot send order, that was our function in here to send our order, and then I'll just say send what? Send the order request. So that's it. I need now to send these, and then after that, of course, I want to return something. So you can return a request entity, or just return a text success, something like that, and then I'm done with that. So I'm expecting if I run my app and then try to call this, it will automatically create my producer inside, rather it will create a key. So let's try to run it. It will create a packet inside my, so let's try to just run it pretty quickly. And then if now you have so if you have an so enable annotation, we need to do all that. And then this log, I think, is not coming from the correct one, so I'll just say log from ls4sj, and then I'll run this. So let me see what is happening here. So my log are not picking the way I wanted them to. The reason I don't know. So let's just try to do another way. So just say log dot info dot string. This one should be okay. Why is it not behaving? So I'll just say string of that. Let me try to comment out these. Or if it's not even working, you can, instead of doing that, you can just say cout, and then we print this. It's not a must that we use the ls4j for login, so you can just say that. And then redundant argument, I don't know what is in other redundant argument. Let me see. So you can just even say this one plus this. Let me see. That one will allow us to do this. So let me see. I think this one now will run. So if you had an ultimate, or maybe your IDE is ultimate, or maybe the student version which has a key, maybe you could do a REST client here. But for me, I'll just use my previous insomnia that we had. So I'll just create a new folder here and call it full stack forge. And then inside the full stack forge, now I'll say I want to create my folder for Rabbit tutorials. And then so inside here, Rabbit tutorial, I want to put some couple of APIs. So first one, just create an HTTP API, which is a post. And then remember I said it will go to localhosts.8081, the one that I set on my, here on my config. Then I'll say / now what I've just instructed it to do inside my controller. I said it should go to API / orders, so I'll just put it here. say API/orders, and then I submit and test. So saying could not connect to the server, probably because of my server. So it's running 8080. I don't know what we did here. It's not picking 8081. I can't remember where the problem is in this YAML of ours. Sorry. So this one should not be port, rather Spring Boot. So it should be server and then port. Yeah, that way, so that it picks the new port. So we just run that. Sorry for that mistake. And then we come back here and just do run. So bad request. So we expect at least some JSON body here, and then also we can say content type application JSON, and then we'll just put some body here. So inside our body, let's just try and see what our order head. So our order head, it had order name, order and stuff. So we can just have them here. So we can just say order ID. Just say order ID is maybe this is we said it's a string, right? So if all these, even this one, you can say put it as integer. For example, I don't know why we said all of them should be strings, but you can say even that one should be or maybe put the last one to be a double and stuff like that. And then just come here and say this is order 21, and then product name is let's say we ordered a bread or a fried egg in this restaurant of ours, and then this one it cost let's say $2 or something like that. Yeah, so this one needs to be well formatted, and then I think this one needs a column, and this one also needs a column, and then you're good. So having these now, we can pretty publish it into our function. I'm seeing it's taking some bit of time. Let's see our logs. 444 vhost, this equivalent internet error protocol. Yeah, so I think because of the type of queue that we created a direct queue, but here we are using a topic. Yeah, so I didn't wanna kinda recreate it again, so I'll just recreate the queue. I'll just recreate this exchange. I don't know if we can change it. Let me see. I think this one you can't edit, so what we can just say is we can create another one here and say ffforge exchange, and then that one, the other one, will use it in direct queue. And then here I'll say it's fan out. I'll say this fan out, and then I'll just copy this and then add this one here, and then I'll unbind the other one, just unbind it temporarily, and then I'll bind the next one. So just come here and say this one, I bind it to ffo queues order with that, then that's it. So let's try again to run our function, to run our app, and then that will be done with step 1 for fan out, producing the fan out. So that's it running. So let's see what we got. So what do we have here? So if I again submit my class, or rather my payload, I'm expecting to at least find something now interesting. Still internal server error. Let me see. Administrator keys, so the root receiver vhost topic we're currently. So let us debug this. So I think we forgot to change our name here, so we need to change our name to fanout. I think that's what we called it, fanout. It's just good to usually just copy this name from your exchange here. You just copy it exactly the way it is to avoid some errors, and then you just come and have it there. So let's rerun this, and then you try again. So you just come here and try again to publish our message and see if all goes well. So this needs to publish this message. Let me see. Should not now complain, because now we have transformed our exchange from being a direct to a fan out. But now I think a fan out will just send to all the queues at the same time. So you can even try to check it out. So apologies, I think we are using a topic, not fan out. So I think I had some in there, and inside the config needs to be topic. and then also and then also our queue type needs to be our exchange need to be a topic, not a fan out, sorry for that. So we just leave that one that way, and then we'll create another and call it topic, and then we'll put type of topic. All the rest we'll use them in the upcoming tutorials, and then we'll just pick this one and then bind it to our queue here. So you can bind it the same. Yeah, that's okay. So let's try again and see what now we got. So this was the first mistake, and I think this one you can externalize it into a config file to make things much easier, so that you don't forget to change that, and then it gives you some items. So here we go. So it will say 200 order published successfully. So if you want to describe another type of exchange, you can still just say this is a different type of exchange. I just put it here, initialize it, and then change the name on the config, and that should be able to serve you. So let's check in our exchange. So in our exchange, the topic exchange, we're expecting at least some items have passed through here using the finance, and then gone to this queue of ours. And because we have 0 consumer, we're expecting to find some messages logged into our queue. So let's see what's happening. So one of the reasons it's not writing is here. I think we left out this order. We need to send it like the item that we want to publish to the queue. So let's try again and see. So I'll just publish in here. So still loading, let it load fast. And then once it's what is happening here? So let me see. So I think it's complaining here about serialization, telling us that this model serialized payload, so it just needs, so is either you say this one is serializable, or now you do the other thing. If you want to send us JSON, I think we can do JSON converter, but let's try to serialize this. So we can try to use JSON converter, message converter, to convert these to JSON before we send it to the queue. So what you can just do here is on this config for the RabbitMQ, you can just create another bin and then override these some of the classes here. So you just say public Jackson to message converter to JSON message converter, and then say JSON to message converter. So you create that converter, and then we return new Jackson to message converter. Then out of this, now this is so well done, then you can now override the converter, or rather the Rabbit template function, by creating a bin of Rabbit template, and then you'll just say Rabbit template. But if you're using reactive, this one won't allow, so you just need to, on top here of your bin, you just need to give it maybe a bin name or something like that, right? So that this one accepts. So Rabbit template, then you'll say connection factory. You just use the connection factory from Rabbit, then you just call it connection factory, and then you say Jackson. We pass these two, message converter as the converter, and then in here we just say Rabbit template inside the function of template is equals to new Rabbit new Rabbit template. So we're just overriding this template, and then give it a connection factory that you have just created to use that, and then say template dot set message converter to now our new converter, and then that's all, and then we return template in our function. So I don't know why this one is complaining. Yeah, so connection factory needs to come from RabbitMQ. I don't know where it's coming from in here. There's a connection factory. Yeah, so it's coming from another client, whatever. So let's just try to import the correct one. So I just say import, and then I need these for the Rabbit connection. Yeah, so that's it. So let's try it again and see what you can do. So either way, you can also say you don't want to do that, so you'll need to like put these as a serializable. So you just come here and say implement serializable. So this one also will work as instead of doing the longer method of going to just change or create to override that function. Yeah, so this one will just add the serializable, so it will just do the same stuff. So let's test and see what you're getting right now. Just a second. So we'll just test that here and see the next error that you're getting. So to one couple of item that we forgot to say is to just add this and say JSON property, so that it enables JSON converter to pick them and serialize them. So let's see. Yeah, so we can just publish some items here. We can just come here and publish some items onto the queue, and you'll see like we'll have a number of items being published to our queue right now. So another item here. So if we are doing on this config server, so if you're doing direct exchange, you'll have to define this one as direct exchange. If you want to do a fan out, you'll just do a fan out, but at the same time you'll need to give a routing key, a different routing key with an it's called a wildcard, either with an asterisk or a hash, to just tell it how it's supposed to bind. But for this one, let me try. So here we received some messages the last few minutes, let me say the last 10 minutes, and then we try. So the last 10 minutes we had some messages, but then because it's not bound, let's rebind it again to this queue, say finance. So this will be a direct exchange. So let's go to this queue and then we try to send some more items and see. So they should be able to come here. Yeah, because now we are sending to a direct queue. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, so the last, if we say the last 1 minute, so you can see the messages are coming here. So right now we have 5. If I push another one, we'll have 6. As it goes and goes. Yeah, so it's 6. Then when I put another one, it will be 7. Blah blah blah. So it's now time to make our consumer, which will consume now all these messages. So one item. So on the types of exchange, we just have to define if it's fan out, use fan out, topic, use topic, and stuff like that. But I'll want to explain one thing on fan out. Sorry, not in fan out, but in topic. So you'll find in topic, you'll see an item like the star or hash. So for this one, let's say this one, which was a direct exchange. So in here we didn't have like to define. If you're doing direct exchange, you don't need to define a lot of stuff. But if it's fan out, for example, and we want to bind fan out to maybe this queue, so in here we can say the routing key. We can put either we say use this one for star. So this will match only one word in a dot separator. So let's say something like finance dot blah blah blah. It will just be 111. Even if we put before or after, it will be 11. But when we do with the hash, so it only matches 0 or more. So if we say finance dot US dot or finance dot hospital dot blah blah blah, many items, we say dot blah 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 dot blah blah blah, it will still match the rest of the item. But if we say star, it will only match one item that is following that. So that's something that you need to note when you're doing the fan out. When you're doing the topic. That's the only difference. But for the rest, the fan out doesn't have any routing key because it propagates, or rather it broadcasts to all the queues. So we have been able to create our queue and load some items onto our queue. Now on the next tutorial, let's look at how now we consume this queue. Thank you and see you on the next one.